honest and trustworthy. And you may have other children who lie, backbite, or gossip, or so on. We have to counter these bad characteristics. And how did the prophet deal with these type of characteristics? Well, if the prophet had a child in his family lie, what the prophet would do is ignore that child until that child repented. Now, everyone knows that children hate to be ignored. All children like attention. So rather than hit your kid, if your child tells a lie, you just tell him, we're going to ignore you. We're all going to ignore you, Abdul, until you tell the truth. Or if you have a child that likes to gossip, you tell him, if you can't stop gossiping, we're just going to ignore you until you stop. Try this, guys. It really works because no child likes to be ignored. So that's one of the ways that you can deal with bad character from a child. Try ignoring that child. And if that child continues to persist in lying or backbiting or gossiping, then this is when you can hit the child. But first, try ignoring him. And also another good advice that our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam gives us is to hang a belt or a stick on the wall. By hanging up your belt or your stick, by putting it up on display, this serves as a reminder and a warning to the child. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, hang up the stick where the members of the household can see it, because this is more effective in disciplining them. When that child tells a lie and he looks up at that stick hanging, it'll remind him of what could come. So it may make him then tell the truth. So try that too. Try hanging up a stick or a belt, putting it up on display in the house so the children can see it. We need to understand that hitting the child, this is the last resort. You only hit when everything else has failed. Try ignoring. Try reminding. And only then, if all that fails, do you hit. Now, a lot of people ask about hitting a woman, because Allah does speak in the Quran about how if a man is married to a woman who has bad conduct, he can hit her. Well, we have to understand that, again, hitting is the last resort. Allah tells us if you have a wife who has bad conduct, you should first admonish her verbally. For example, and when we talk about bad conduct, this does not mean your wife won't cook dinner. Your wife cooked chicken instead of fish. Bad conduct means, say for example, your wife refuses to wear a hijab. The first time you catch her without her hijab, you admonish her. The second time you catch her without the hijab, you refuse to sleep with her. And then the third time, this is when you can hit her, but you hit her lightly so as not to cause harm to her. But again, guys, this is only in regards to a woman with bad conduct. Bad conduct meaning, for example, she refuses to wear hijab, or she cusses all the time. A very bad-mannered woman. A woman that you're on the verge of divorcing. This is the type of woman that you follow these steps with. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the best example for us all, and he never laid a hand on any of his wives. He never hit any of them. They were not ill-mannered women. Okay? So again, hitting or beating up on your wives is forbidden in Islam, and you should only hit them if they are women that fall in that bad conduct category. And hitting is the last resort. Okay? Also, when we talk about establishing the good Muslim home, we need to understand that there are certain evils in the home that we should be aware of and do away with. Number one, beware of non-mahram men. What's a non-mahram man? This is a man who is not closely related to your wife. This is a man who is not her father, who is not her brother. He is not her nephew. He is not her uncle. He is not her stepfather. He is not her father-in-law, and he is not her grandfather. Unless a man falls in those categories, he is not a mahram to her, and he cannot be alone with her at all. And this is something that a lot of Muslim women don't understand. You cannot be alone with a man who is not a mahram to you for no reason, not even to teach you Islam. So what about those women who work? What about for those of us who have to work and deal with men? There's nothing wrong with this, as long as you are not alone with a man. So even at your job, you should never go into an office and close the door and be alone with one man. There should always be a third party present, or leave the door open to keep away any shaitanic suggestions. Also, another evil in the home that we need to do away with is men and women should be separated during family visits. We had a sister yesterday ask me about serving a man. And remember, I told her that we do not go around serving men who are not mahrams. So if you have male guests that come to visit, the women and men should sit separately. The men should serve themselves, and the women should serve themselves. You don't want to have this intermingling going on, because again, this opens the door to Shaitan and his suggestions. Also, we need to be aware of the dangers of having male drivers and female servants in the home. Be careful to not have your wives and daughters alone in a car with a male driver. And be careful not to leave your sons and your husband alone in a house with a female servant. Because again, this can lead to a fitna. Also, another evil of the home that you must be aware of and do away with is having immoral people there. If you have a brother, for example, and your brother drinks, he's an alcoholic, or your brother is a drug addict, or your brother, is gay, for example, these people should not be living in your house because they set a bad example for your children. Also, we have to beware of the dangers of television and the internet. Especially the internet. The internet has become much more dangerous than television. You want to make sure you monitor your children when they're on the net. Just because they're in a so-called Islamic website does not make what they're doing Islamic. You guys know that from MySpace. We got all these Muslim women, but their behavior is not like a Muslim. Okay? So beware of the dangers of television, the dangers of the telephone, and dangers of the internet. Also, another means of